Everybody, I had no intentions of recording anything having to do with what happened on Tuesday. Generally, regarding sort of these big public, what feels like then become social media campaigns, I sort of sit back and try to reflect personally to really think about where I personally can do better, what I can do better, how I can make a difference. Because everything else often feels like I'm not sure it's going to do a whole lot. And that was really how I was feeling last night after I wept through my entire dinner with my kids when I heard what happened. Many people probably don't know this, but I grew up on the North Shore of Chicago, and in the late 1980s, when I was in elementary school, there was what was probably one of the very first school shootings of Lori Dan. She came into a school, not my school, but a neighboring community school, and we were all on lockdown. I think I was in 5th grade at the time. And I just remember as what happened yesterday, and as has happened with many of these school shootings before, that memory kind of flooding back to me, even though the impact on me was pretty minimal. I mean, I'm sure I went about living my life, but I remember that day, and when I close my eyes, I can picture even the weather, which I think is telling as we think about trauma. But what I want to speak to a bit here is the questions that I often get when there's something like this that happens. It says, can you explain this from a spiritual perspective? So I'm going to try to straddle both of these worlds, as I often do, the spiritual and the psychological. When Sandy Hook happened, my daughter was in kindergarten. I think I spent a good minimum of 2 months trying to process in therapy how I was feeling about it, because it was so raw to me. And the thought of my child, the faces of those kids, there was no longer a separateness. And I think often in any sort of tragedy, we try to separate ourselves. We try to rationalize and say, oh, this won't happen to me because, or I do this, so that can't happen to me, or I don't live in that neighborhood, so that's not going to happen to me. But the reality is that this is now creeping up into all of our consciousness, because it could happen to any of us at any time. And that's really, really scary. We had the Buffalo shooting, the Buffalo grocery store shooting not that long ago, 10 days before this. I mean, it just seems like one after another. And so when we think about trauma and we think about collective trauma, we think about how trauma and fear and our cortisol levels impact our health. And when we're all walking around in this constant heightened state of anxiety, that is really, really difficult. And I'm not going to get into gun control here, because that feels like a discussion that, frankly, is not going to, it's not going to move the needle. Nothing seems to be moving the needle on that. And so what I want to try to focus on is, through a spiritual lens and a psychological lens, what you can do. So psychologically, I think you have to feel everything that you're feeling. Cry, hug, be angry. I was so angry this morning. I actually recorded a different version of this podcast that was very, very anger filled and probably not going to be helpful for many of you. And so I had to get that out. I had to kind of purge that energy so I could come to a place of more clarity in terms of what I wanted to share. And I think, and we're all experiencing this grief. I mean, it's very hard for me to look at the pictures of these children and not see my own kids' faces in them, and look at these parents hugging their children and not think about how their lives will forever be different as a result of this, and the waves that the waves of people that just one of those people impact as it spreads, because each of those children had siblings and parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins and family and friends, and their lives are forever changed as a result. From a spiritual perspective, we can talk about soul contracts, although for me that's not really helpful here, because I still, despite what I believe, have a hard time believing that these little sweet souls contracted to be killed in a mass shooting. That seems asinine to me. However, what I do see as essential here is what each and every one of us can do to be more connected to one another. And when I think about spirituality, I think about, I've said this before, it is about knowing yourself and feeling connected to yourself, and the importance of not only being connected to yourself, but being connected with the people around you, whether that's the family that you have, that is your blood family, whether that is the family you've created of friends, whether that is a caregiver, a teacher, a mentor, one person in your life that has made a difference that you can reach out to. You know, we are so isolated right now and so alone. So many of us are afraid to show our vulnerabilities to the world, to share what we're struggling with, what we're dealing with. But that is so much, I believe, at the core of what is happening here, is that we have stopped looking each other in the eye. We have stopped saying hello to people. We have stopped smiling and recognizing people for looking into their souls and saying, I see you and I want to know you, or I want to connect with you. That doesn't mean you need to be best friends with everybody. It doesn't mean that everybody has to be your favorite person in the world. But can you take a moment to connect? Because I believe that the more we are connected to one another, the less likely some of these things are to happen, because we see in the other person a part of ourselves. And that, to me, is where spirituality falls in all of this. So I hope that this gave you a little bit of hope, a little bit of space to feel whatever it is you need to feel, to talk with who you need to talk about. You know, you can certainly reach out to me on Instagram or email. I'm happy to try to help, to try to answer questions. Unfortunately, I don't often have the answers. I'm in this with all of you, just trying to figure it out, just trying to sort through it, and feeling the intensity of all of these feelings that you, I am sure, are all feeling right now as well. So with that, I send you all love for this holiday weekend and peace and connection.